How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to Farming Simulator 22. Double G here. This is episode number 3 in the series that we're doing on the Elm Creek map. So in the last episode, we had a couple of things that we got done. First of all, we purchased a subsoiler that we got a deal on at the store in the used market. It's a 4-meter subsoiler that we got for $4,400, and it will satisfy the plowing requirement for fields. So we had a worker subsoil the fields, and it turned up some rocks in all 3 fields, and they're not very big. And we could roll the fields after sowing, and that'll push the rocks back down to the dirt, or we could just get a rock picker. I like the idea of getting a rock picker. I think it's just part of the process that you should do when you're planting crops, especially root crops. It's a must when it's root crops. So I think we'll get in the Massey Ferguson and go to the store and see what options we have. So in the last episode, we also did a humongous contract. It was a baling contract for silage in one of the biggest fields on the map, Field 71. The contract itself paid $30,000. And I had a pretty good feeling, as with most baling and harvesting contracts, that there would be a leeway. So we would have extra silage at the end of the contract to sell that we'd get paid for. My hope was it would be 20, 25, maybe $30,000 on top of the 30 for the contract. Turns out it was 75. So last episode we made almost $105,000, which is great. I'm not sure how realistic that was, but I mean, it's the mechanics of the game, so I'm going to go with it. So we have more money than I thought we would have at this point. We've also rested. We're in the next day, so we're in September. We're at 1 day per month. So I just think it's going to make it a lot easier for us to progress, having made the extra money, even though it was unexpected. And maybe we can expand into a new field, or get some animals. We'll just have to see how it plays out. But I think priority 1 is getting these fields ready to plant. So if we look in the store, we need a rock picker. We need to go to the implements, not the machines, and there you go, stone picker. So there are 3 choices. There's a 2-meter working width Degelman for $25,000. There's a 2.4 for $41,000. It doesn't seem to be too horribly much of an upgrade. And then there's the Elho Scorpio 550, and it's 5.5 meters. We don't have very big fields. We could probably get away with this Degelman. I'm not a big fan of these because they're a pain to control the way they're offset. And I think this Elho is what I want ultimately anyway. So I think we may lease this one just to get a feel for it, see how it works, see how much it is to lease. It's a lot, especially for doing a job that's not necessarily going to directly make money for us. But I still think picking rocks is something we should do. So I think we're going to go with this one today. We're losing money on it, but that way we get to experience all the equipment. So I didn't look at the horsepower requirement for it. I'm sure we're fine. So we'll get hooked up to this. You know what? Let's just double check. Oh, it'll be under leased. That requires 120, so we're fine. It looked awfully big in comparison to the tractor. Alright, so let's get this back and we can start rock picking. May even have a worker do it for us. Also, the field that we bought in episode 1, the fourth field, the additional field, has sorghum in it and it's ready to harvest. So quite possibly, if we can get that harvested and subsoiled or cultivated, depending on if it needs plowing, then we could get the rocks picked out of that field if it turns up any while we have this leased. So I think we'll get back to the farm and check this out, and then we'll probably set it off on a worker so that we can get the harvester and go harvest the sorghum. This just being on a straight hitch with no offset should be pretty easy to control. Not to mention the fact that it's twice as wide as the small Degelman, so this lined up. See how it works. Alright, we'll need to turn it on and lower. Nope, that raised it. Apparently it lowered as we turned on. Alright, let's give this thing a go. That's not picking up rocks. Alright, let's reverse that. Apparently it does not lower as you turn it on. There you go. Oh yeah. It's definitely changing the texture of the ground. And it's a nice working width. Let's see if we can... Yeah, you can see the little almost augers, the little spindles with the spikes. Alright. That doesn't seem too bad at all. Definitely be quicker to do it with this than the 2 or the 2.5 meter. Obviously. Yeah, this isn't bad at all. Not much to it. We'll set it off on a worker. Take a look at it. Yeah, it's kicking it up pretty good. Getting the rocks out. Alright. We'll let that continue. And then we'll get in the harvester. We have the header on a trailer. Yeah, it's super close though. We'll just, I guess since it's already on the trailer, we'll take it over on the trailer. I don't think it's really that necessary. It's only one field over. Oh, don't hit the silo. There you go. There's our sorghum. Hopefully this farmer will not mind too much if we park our trailer here, because that's what we're gonna do. Get the header picked up. Smooth. And then we'll start harvesting this sorghum. Not quite sure what to expect on the yield here. Unfold it. Turn it on. make a couple passes down here to give ourselves room to turn around without having to drive into the adjoining crop. Let's see. It's not filling up super fast, but definitely faster than our wheat field was. And this field is probably, I would say at least twice the size that our wheat field was. And our wheat field wasn't fertilized at all. So if we take a look, this field, we'll go to the composition. Yeah, it was fertilized once, so it should have a better yield. So we'll see how much we can get out of this. 7. It's tough to say if we'll even need the trailer. It might be close. So with the newfound money, I think, we could expand into another field. There's a nice cornfield next to us. Might be a bit out of our price range though. We have now with the lease of the rock picker, we have 131,000, which is enough to buy a field, even a decent sized field, but we have to leave ourselves some money to work off of, because I really don't want to take out any loans. I mean, if push comes to shove, sure, I would do it, but I don't want to, not even short term if I don't have to, and definitely not to expand. If I find myself in a jam where I can't do what absolutely has to be done because I don't have any money, that's a different story, but I'm surely not gonna borrow $100,000 from the bank to buy a field. I'll just have to do a contract or sell something. So, let's see, we're almost all the way around the field. We are currently at 23%, 24%. I do not know. I guess we'll just run this puppy until it fills up and grab the trailer if we need it. Because it might be pretty close on whether or not the tank can hold all of this. So I think we'll do a time lapse. I'll get this harvested, and then we can move the rock picker to another field and start looking into lime and fertilizer, because we really need to get all of these fields at least prepared, if not prepared and planted in this episode. So we'll see you when we're done with the sorghum. Like we got lucky and everything's gonna fit in the tank. Oh, nope, it'll get it. Yep, 98%. So that saved us a little bit with having to go get the trailer. Put this back on the header trailer. While I was harvesting that, I was noticing this looks like a soybean field to the right. This, I believe, is a sugar beet field, both of which are probably within the price range of what we can afford. The soybean field, we have all the equipment to harvest it. The sugar beets, I'm not so sure about though, because that equipment is super expensive. So don't know, maybe we can buy the soybean field? It's a possibility. I did not line up very well for that. Alright, let's drop this back. We can go... Well, I was thinking we could put this in the silo, but I guess it's worth looking to see what sorghum's worth right now. Is it on? Oh, yep, it's on there. Again, I did not judge it very well. So we can hook up, tip this in the silo unless the price is good, in which case we would put it in the trailer. So sorghum is currently worth, well, it's $1,300 on the train. Aside from that, it's $11.31 at the grain mill. As far as fluctuation goes, we're on the low side. Plus, I believe chickens can eat sorghum. And if we're going to get chickens, it may be worth having some food around. Let's look. Does it tell us in the... Let's go here. Construction. Animal dealer. Let's go to animals. Chickens. This may only tell me... Oh yeah, chickens. Sorghum. Wheat and barley. Yeah. So I say we throw this into the silo for now. And it may actually not be sold. It may turn into chicken food. Put the pipe out because I always misjudge how far it goes out. Alright. Looks like we had 8,000 plus liters. We'll double check once it dumps into the silo. Will it add up as it's dumping? Nope, it stays static. Yep, it'll add as you go in and out. It'll be done soon. We're at 15. Alright, yes, 83. So we have 3,600 liters a week, 8,300. So almost 12,000 liters of chicken food. I'm not sure how much they eat in a season, but that surely would have to be a good head start. I guess it would also depend on the size of your chicken enclosure, how many chickens you had. But I think for animal pens and things like that, I will probably not invest in it until I can afford the biggest one. Because what I don't want to do is have a small chicken yard and then have to sell it to put in the bigger chicken yard. Plus, I tend to be pretty methodical and meticulous about planning things out where I want things to be. So we'll look at that when it comes time. Let's see. Fold this up. Park it back in the barn, because unless we do buy the soybean field, again, we may be completely done with this until next year. Alright. We'll go check on the rock picker. Oh, he's definitely done. So move him to the big field. Then we're going to need to go to the store and look at options for lime and fertilizer. Actually, what we can do, fold it up, clear the fence here so we don't have any issues. in theory, save ourselves some time because we're just going to put it on an AI worker anyway. Get that guy, start a job, field work. I'm really digging this part of the AI system. Go there, that way, start moving. Awesome. So we'll get in a John Deere. We don't appear to be attached. And we'll head off to the store. So at this stage, I definitely want to get a spreader that can spread lime and fertilizer. And I looked in the store earlier, and there aren't a ton of options to begin with. For spreaders that do both. I'm not the biggest fan of the spreader that does do both. I'm horrible with my efficiency on spreading lime and fertilizer on top of a trailer that's just, it's wacky to control to me for some reason. I don't know, maybe it's a mental block. So I did have a look in the mods. And there's a mod of the same brand, a Bredal, that is actually a PTO mounted spreader on the back that will do lime and fertilizer. So I've downloaded that, and I think we may lease it, we may buy it. I tend to have better success with, tractor mounted spreaders than with trailer pull behind spreaders. So take a look. So if we go to the fertilizer spreaders, so these are the 4 by default. You have 2 Amazons for 25,000 and 65,000 respectively. They both do 42 meter, but it's a difference in capacity. 3,200 liters versus 10,000 liters. But they both only do fertilizer. These Bredals do both. Where is the mod? Does it show up somewhere else? Is it under sprayers? Did it not load? Well, that is super odd. Don't know where it's going to be. I would have thought for sure, unless it didn't load. Fertilizer spreader. Is there a different area for? Let's do it this way. By brand. Oh, there it is. I don't know why it didn't show up. Salt spreader. Oh. Boy, oh boy. It says it can only do salt. Why would that have been in Mod Hub as a spreader? Or did I do the wrong one? Let me just go back and check, and we will see. So, I went back and had a look, and it turns out I installed the mod, but I didn't load the mod when I loaded the game this time around. So, if we go to fertilizer spreaders now, the salt spreader is in the game without a mod. So you have the 4 that are default, and then you have this Bredal. And I'll put a link to the mod. in the description. It actually is just, yeah, it's just a little bit more expensive than the Amazon, which is the same mount style, but it will do lime as well. And lime and fertilizer, especially fertilizer, is going to be something that we have to do a good bit. So I think this is worth buying, especially having the extra money that I wasn't really expecting to have. Oh, I'm a sucker for red too. Yeah, we'll go with that. Doesn't cost any extra. So we're going to buy this. Its capacity is 4,000 liters. So we're going to have to either come back and forth to fill it up, or we may have to purchase a trailer and come with the pickup truck to pick up fertilizer and lime. We shall see. But for now, we need lime. So that's two, yeah, so we can only hold 2 bags. We'll get that to start and see how far that goes. So we can always offload it at the farm. We could just use the spreader to actually transport. So we'll buy that. But in my opinion, these rear mounted, tractor mounted spreaders are just easier to control than the trailer ones. They just don't have the capacity. Alright, and get close to the bags. I like it too because when you're close enough to load, it'll pop open. I also think the trailer can do a 12-meter working width for lime and a 18-meter working width for fertilizer. And this, like the Amazon, has a 42-meter working width, and it applies to both, I believe. And oh, it's adjustable. That's nice. I just saw that in the menu over there. So that's going to be even better, because I'm bad at driving in straight lines and judging, the overlap for these sort of things. So that's going to help me quite a bit. 42. I wonder how many meters wide our fields are. This could potentially save me a lot of money in lime, just from the standpoint of efficiency. But I don't know what the consumption rate is on this. I've not used it before. The trailer's not bad, but I was horribly inefficient with the trailer. And our rock picker has finished in the second field, so we can send him. Actually, I feel like, yeah, let's send the rock picker to the third field. Then we'll get our second worker that we have to, how should I do this? So I've realized something in trying to, well, I got excited about having the subsoiler, to be quite honest with you. Oh, you missed a spot over to the right. We can get that later. In my excitement of getting such a good deal on the subsoiler and trying to get ahead while I was doing the big contract last episode, I had a worker subsoil these 3 fields when realistically you should lime and then plow, cultivate, or subsoil. I don't think it matters in the game, but I just want to be, I'm not like going to be super diehard on realism, but liming a field if it needs it is the first step. So let's get this guy going. Let's look and see if field 47 needs a lime. It does need lime. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to lime 47 before we subsoil it. Then after we subsoil it, we'll see if it turned up any rocks. And then I'll come back and do these fields with lime. I know the order doesn't matter, but you know, just try and be as realistic as possible within reason. I'm not even sure I know what 42 meters wide is going to look like. Maybe here? Almost. Let's move in a little closer. Sorry for the destroying the soybeans, only not really destroying the soybeans, even though it might bomb. Okay. Let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, 2 passes. The front fields may actually only be 1 pass. And then the nice part is, if I line up in the middle of this one, I will be able to adjust the width. That'll work. What's the width control? I don't see a width control. Okay, so I had to look at my keybinds. Control Z. I guess that's the default. Oh, and then it's on the list. Wow, blind as a bat. So we'll pull down the working width, I think a click. 36, see if that gets it done. That should. Yeah. Sometimes you can't see what's right in front of your face. So at least that's been done in the proper order. We still have 695 liters of lime. We started out with 2,000. We might get away with not having to get any more. And it looks like the rock picker's done. So I would say we'll use the other John Deere, because I really want to know if the other field has rocks in it before I return the rock picker. Alright, so we'll get this guy set off on a worker. Bad aim today. Alright. We can move this guy out of the way for now. So I'll get these 3 fields limed, then I'll go pick up some fertilizer and fertilize everything, and we can check for rocks in field 47. So we'll do a quick time lapse. So that's everything fertilized. And as is the case with the Bradal trailers that do both fertilizer and lime, it consumes the fertilizer at a much lower rate. Oh, that was not the best place to put them. Let's try that again. It consumes the fertilizer at a much slower rate than the lime, and the time lapse took a little longer than I was expecting because I wasn't planning on having to go back for lime. We had 600 liters when we started the time lapse. I had it in my head that we had a 2,000 liter capacity, so we should almost have enough, when in actuality we had 600 out of 4,000. So there was no way we were going to make it. Let's try this. Slightly better spot. Still not great. Not a big fan of this building here because it takes up space and it does nothing. I can't do anything in it. I can't go inside it. We may very well get rid of that building and maybe even put a storage shed there, something we can use, because we're going to start having more equipment than we have places to put it. So I'm not super against leaving this spreader outside because it does have a cover on it. But especially once we start having seeds and fertilizer and lime stored here, that should all be kept dry, and we're just running out of space. So I'll park this here for now. And we can take a look and see how good of a job the rock picker did. Look at the map. Missed some stuff on 45, but we still have it, so we can clean that up. Oh yeah, you can see the strip that it missed. It's easy enough. Silo crash. It'll retexture the ground a bit, but we know that the fertilizer's there. Alright, so we are rock picked. Double check. Yep. And it looks like, is that lime on 45? We're just going to have to let that slide. But there's no rocks in 47. So in theory, we should be done with the rock picker. We'll just park it out of the way for now. So we harvested the sorghum. And then we were able to lime and fertilize all of the fields, and nobody has rocks. So we're ready to plant in the next episode. We just have to take a look and see what we want to plant. Take a look at the calendar. So in the next episode, which will still be this in-game day, we still can plant wheat, barley, and canola. Wheat and barley we can feed to chickens, so we may do those two or more of one of those two. And I'm really thinking that the new Field 47 will get planted with grass, and we can plant grass through October. Yeah, I think that's going to be the beginning of our silage experiment. See if we can actually make some money on top of having to buy and or lease the equipment. So I think that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you everybody for watching. And until next time, take care.